The story begins. The enthusiasts are trying completed the game tester of Sword Art Online. They are struggle fighting the final boss, but time is running out. However, there was one player named Kirito, who defeated the monster with good accurate damage. He is completed of beta tester with ease. Yuki Asuna, a teenager who has a boring life, spends her time for studying and competing academically with his classmates, for the approval of his parents, but that changes when he meets Tozawa Misumi. She gave color into Asuna's life. He introduced a mobile arcade game similar like Tekken. Asuna had lost many times and easily defeated by Misumi. On her way, Asuna knows that Misumi is a pro player in that game. She is very enthusiastic everything about game. One of the new games that will be anticipated in the virtual reality multiplayer online genre called Sword Art Online, using a link called Nerve Gear. In time of release that game, Asuna accidentally found a Sword Art Online game in her brother's room. Asuna, who remembered Misumi's words about playing together in that game. She is so plain without knowledge about the game. The first logged into the game, she used her avatar. It's exactly same face, the same posture, everything, and the real identity just like in the real world. Asuna, who managed to enter the lobby game with 10,000 other players, innocently looked for Misumi by asking one by one the surrounding players, who probably knew her firsthand. Suddenly, a dark-looking, a strange Ojizan came up to Asuna. He unmasked true identity is Misumi, who used the male character under the nickname Mito. Mito introduced the game. He said this game was very suitable for Asuna because she had a pretty good athletic ability. Mito took her around the game area. They bought weapons together. Mito chose the iron scythe weapon, which resembled the crescent moon, and Asuna chose the floret sword, which is commonly used by fencing athletes. When it was night, Asuna planned to say goodbye and log out of the game. However, there is an oddity that there is no log out button, which should be there found in the beta version. Then they were all forced teleportation into official lobby, and met the game master, Tufer, creator of the Sword Art Online game, Akihiko Kayaba. He explained that there was no way out except to finish the game, reach the 100th floor Eincard and defeat all the bosses. If they break the rules by forcibly exiting and lose the game, the nerve gear will automatically activate a heat sensor to the brain and blast their head. The world is changing dramatically. The player changed back to their original form in the real world, as well as Mito, who turned into Misumi's form. Soon after that, there even caused disunion between players in the lobby. Misumi grabbed Asuna's hand to hurry up and start the adventure in the game. Suddenly two wolves attacked them. Misumi, who had been trained in a game, swiftly defeated the wolf. But one of the wolves escaped the attack, and targeted Asuna. Asuna was shocked by the complicated situation in the game, blamed everyone including Misumi and shed tears fall down. Misumi promised to her, said everything would be fine when she is standing in her side. She will teach more deeply about Sword Art Online and make a party game as a proof their bond of friendship. Day after day, they adventure to defeat various kinds of monsters and move cities for leveling. Subconsciously, Asuna's ability increased drastically. They saw something terrible that this day were couldn't erased from their memory. The survival ended with terrible condition. They was roughed up after trapped in dungeon. The next day they adventure to a rocky hill, inhabited by a plant monster named Nepenthes. Even though their level was high enough to fight, Nepenthes was quite troublesome to attack in groups. They could even summon more reinforcements when Nepenthes, who had the fruit in head, disintegrated and emitted red gas. Mizuna is seeing the spry Shrewman who had a rare item in Aincrad. Even though she managed to defeat and get the rare item, but the condition was changed into out of control. Misumi trapped and fell down from the hill. They're all on edge here. It wasn't easy for Misumi to return back, get evidence to save Asuna because every step of hers had been set in traps. Alternative option is main access. There are blocked by the troops Nepenthes too. For Asuna the most difficult and laborious things to against them alone, but it wasn't over yet. Suddenly, the giant anthrosaur entrance, even Asuna couldn't put up a fight. Bad notification popping. Suddenly Asuna looked up disappointed faces when knowing the truth about Misumi leaving the party room. Misumi ran away to save herself, because there was no hope for her to save Asuna. Once Asuna's mind was distracted when she was on the verge of death. Just give up and embrace the reality. Suddenly, the miracle happened. Hero came to save her life, someone we know as Kirito. He can defeat the giant anthrosaur with his epic sword skills. Asuna, who was still traumatized by what had just happened, didn't reply to Kirito's question. He also gave some potions and map to get resting in the city itself. Asuna is checked in rest area alone and took a break. She was surprised when log out button appeared on the game's dashboard. Asuna left the game and returned to the real world to meet her family. She felt warmth for the first time from his family, who appreciated Asuna's effort in the academic school. Suddenly everything disappeared and turned into blank. She saw Misumi saying goodbye and Asuna is struggling fade out from her illusion. On the way she looks quite depressed, until in the end he has moved on and chose to fight until the end in this survival game. Asuna was fighting alone in the dungeon against the kobolds. With great difficulty, Asuna defeated them alone, it's so draining her stamina. Suddenly, Kirito came, but he didn't realize that the person in front of him was the woman he had saved. Asuna, who suddenly fainted from exhaustion, was suddenly outside the dungeon in the shady forest with Kirito. He advised Asuna, doesn't rash itself and devise a strategy to survive in this game. He invites her to attend a special meeting with the other players in Talbana. The leader and the speakers in the meeting was Diavel, also Survivor 2. Before starting the meeting, it is recommended to create 6 party rooms. Asuna realized that she was having a hard time interacting with the people around her. Kirito also invited him to make a party room together. Diavel explains that the boss they will face on the first floor is called Ilfong the Kobold Lord. He has entourage known as the Ruined Kobold Sentinels that appears as a group of 3 at most. The main weapon is axe and buckler. He has 4 health bar. When turned red, he switched to a curved sword-type weapon called Talwar. After the meeting was dismissed, Asuna saw Misumi lying around, with her new party mates. At exactly 10 o'clock, the players with their respective team parties gathered and started to fight the first stage boss. Asuna also saw Misumi appear in that battle, but she still didn't notice her presence. At first everything goes well with according right plan that was announced at the meeting yesterday. They appeared quite domineering in that moment. Asuna and Kirito are fighting the ruined kobold sentinels who were around the main boss. As informed, Ilfong the Kobold Lord will throw the axe and spherical shield weapons when his life point turned into red. But unexpectedly, the Kobold Lord took out a different weapon from the beta tester. The Kobold Lord attacked Diavel in bad condition without struggle and defendless, and he knocked out the game. The Kobold Sentinel Ruin also increased in number. In books there were only 3 protecting the main boss. Asuna helped Misumi against the Kobold troops. Suddenly she realized the figure under the hood was Asuna. He felt sorry for having left him while fighting against Nepenthes before. Asuna ticked her weapon into Misumi's crescent sword, and invited her to finish this battle. Misumi is paving the way for Asuna into main stage and gave her the rare item she got earlier. Asuna advanced with great confidence, to help Kirito fight the main boss. Kirito realized that she was the woman he had saved from giant anthrosaur. Kirito and Asuna were epic tag team, they switched at the right zone. However, the Kobold Lord changed his attack pattern and knocked Kirito off his feet and drained his health bar quite a dying. Misumi supported in Asuna's side. They are showed nice combo consecutive attack. The Kobold Lord who had been cornered and defendless, Kirito is jumping on top and slashing it in half. Despite successfully completing the challenges on the first floor and defeating the main enemy the Lord Kobold, it creates a new feud and called Kirito and Asuna to be cheaters, slandering them by calling them former beta testers and blaming them for the death of Diavel. Kirito did not want to clarify the matter, and called them amateur players who only depended by information brokers. He also intimidated all players don't follow his away, while Asuna and Misumi had to separate because they had different away. Asuna also has a new goal by going after him. How Asuna going to live in this world by follows where Kirito goes and stay move forward. Their adventure between Asuna and Kirito are starting from here.